Hello, everyone, and welcome to this month's Heart Bunch video brought to you by Utah State University Extension's Heart Initiative. We're excited to talk with you today about substance use disorder, also called addiction, and whether or not it is a choice. So, to start out, we're going to do a little activity. I want you all to think of a behavior you have that you may not like about yourself. And if you would describe that behavior in any of the following ways: if it's difficult to control how long the behavior lasts, if you've had unsuccessful efforts to reduce the behavior, or if that behavior impedes your responsibilities, if continuing engagement in the behavior, you continue to engage in this behavior despite negative consequences, if the behavior replaces other activities you enjoy or need to do, or if you do the behavior even if it's dangerous, if it's hazardous, and if the behavior continues despite self-recognition of a problem. So I know that I've definitely felt this way about my phone, about my food, and actually this list of things that I put up here on the screen come from the clinical diagnosis for an opioid use disorder. I just removed the words opioid use. And what I wanted to demonstrate here is how this experience that we have with different behaviors is a universal experience that we all share, whether it's with a phone, it's food, or it could be a substance use issue. So today we'll be discussing behavior specific to substance use disorder. Historically, substance use disorder has been primarily viewed as a moral failing and related to poor decision making. But there's much more to it than a simple decision to use substances or to not use them. So why that experience is so universal of having a hard time controlling certain behaviors is due to brain chemistry. Now there's a lot going on. There's a lot of different chemicals that are going on in our brains when we are engaging in different behaviors. But we're just going to talk about one of them today, and that's dopamine. Dopamine is one of those chemicals. Dopamine is an excitatory neurotransmitter that communicates with brain cells and encourages them to act in a pleasurable, excitable, or euphoric way. The Info Action Recovery Center had a great quote. They said it better than I could. I threw it up on this slide here. It says, "Our brain associates the release of dopamine with pleasure and creates a reward system. For example, when you eat comforting food, your brain releases dopamine, which makes you feel good. Therefore, your brain assumes this is a reward and encourages you to repeat this behavior, even though the comforting food may not be the healthiest choice for your body." Substance use disorder or addiction is considered a brain disorder because it involves functional changes to your brain circuits involved in reward, stress, and self-control. And those changes may last a long time after a person, even after a person has stopped taking a substance. So I'm going to turn the time over to Tim to talk about risk and protective factors related to substance use disorder.
Very good. Thanks, Matt. I'm going to talk about some of the environmental risk factors that we find with substance use disorders. Those include genetics, adverse childhood experiences, and that includes traumatic events and unsafe environments experienced during childhood, including abuse, neglect, and household dysfunction. There's also poverty, peer pressure, and low peer refusal skills, co-occurring illnesses, such as a mental health disorder, drug availability. So you've got legal prescriptions as well as illegally purchased or found prescription medications. So we know those are some risk factors that we find throughout substance use disorders. Some of the protective factors that we know exist are positive relationships, parental support, neighborhood resources, positive connections to family, friends, or community, strong coping and problem-solving skills, and other protective factors that we find in communities. When we talk about those in the context of substance use disorders, it begins from the time we're very young, from the time we're just coming out of the womb until we get to be 17 or 18 years old, and possibly even longer, as part of the adolescent behaviors that we expect from people. So some of the treatment options for substance use disorder can include outpatient counseling, inpatient rehab, or medication for opioid use disorder. Some of those opioid use disorder medications can include methadone, buprenorphine, naltrexone, and other new medications that are coming out almost as we talk about this now. They help people remain in treatment and live a normal life. So there are many options for treatment. And what we like to say in our groups are that there is treatment, it's available, and it works. And we hope people will look for that and find that in their lives. Now I'm going to turn some time over to Gabby.
Thanks so much, Tim. So, as we talk about substance use disorder and folks who are experiencing this, shame can keep people from seeking treatment for their substance use disorder. And, SUD especially can lead to overdose. And this is why we want to talk about this topic, and why we do so much work in this area. And it is important, though, to reduce that stigma, because we want individuals to feel that they can obtain treatment, and treatment is available, it works, recovery is possible. And so being able to refer to someone who's experiencing a substance use disorder using person-first language helps reduce that stigma. So, for example, some of the words or labels we want to avoid is calling somebody like an addict or a junkie, or specifically if they're using alcohol, then calling them an alcoholic. Instead, we want to use a phrase such as a person with a substance use disorder, a person with an alcohol use disorder, a person with an opioid use disorder. And the main reason is that using person first, non-stigmatizing language shows that an individual has a problem, has that challenge that they're experiencing, and not that they are the problem, and so this helps open the door for treatment and recovery. And it's just like we would talk about any other chronic illness, a person who is diabetic, rather than that saying that it's the person who has diabetes, or a person diagnosed with diabetes, a person with high blood pressure, things like that, that we may use normally just in our lives. And so we want to be able to, kind of speak about someone with a substance use disorder in that same sensitive way. And so we just wanted to end with a couple of conclusive thoughts. So we all make choices, right? But individuals who have experienced risk factors or who have used substances previously are more likely to develop a substance use disorder, and this can expose them to potential harm, such as an overdose. Substance use disorder is like other chronic illnesses, right? And so treatment is available and recovery is possible. So is substance use disorder a choice? Of course, we all make choices, but like other disorders such as diabetes, asthma, or hypertension, there are risk factors to developing a substance use disorder. There's a lot of physiological changes within the body that can happen. There's some potential negative outcomes, as with any chronic illness, but thankfully there is treatment. So we do want to highlight that specifically. So, in conclusion, in our final conclusion, we want to thank you for tuning into this Heart Bunch video. We hope that you're able to add more tools to your toolkit and some more information that can help you maybe either seek treatment yourself, or speak with a friend or family member or a loved one about this. We as the Heart Initiative, we are available on all of these social media platforms. And you can check out more videos if you like this content. We have more videos, and we put out new videos each month, and you can like and subscribe to all of our things. So we wanted to thank you again. We appreciate your time. Bye.
Thank you.